Saturday, January 13th, 2:41 p.m. New York time. Yep. We're almost in the middle of the month for the first month of the new year. Got to go over dollar cost averaging. Have you heard of dollar cost averaging? Have you participated in dollar cost average? Dollar cost average is when you're making contributions to your investment long term. Some people make contributions once a week, some making them once a month, some making them once a year, as often as you want. And some people make them into single stocks, or some people just do outright indexes or sectors. Well, buying the index is much more diversified. Same with the stock sectors versus buying a single stock. You want to buy winners. So the S&P 500 companies has sectors in there. There's 11 sectors, the S&P 500. So if you don't want to buy the S&P 500, you can find the strongest sectors in there. But let's first look at indexes. This is a 5-year chart. Each candle's a week. It's the S&P 500. So for the year, the first week of the year was the low of the year. So we made a new high for the year. As well, we took out the high of last year. Yep, we took out the high of last year. So let's remove that. It's almost all-time high. So again, we're now trading above. We took out the high of last year for the S&P 500. And we're almost to the high there, 2022. Outstanding. So when we go in here, we want to look at the sectors and indexes to see if they're performing better. Again, we're trading a higher and new high for the year. That's the S&P 500. The NASDAQ 100, yeah, new high for the year, but it hasn't taken out the high of last year. So the NASDAQ 100, well, that's an index of technology companies. Okay, has not taken out the high of last year yet, where the S&P 500 has. The NASDAQ 100 is one of the indexes also inside the S&P 500. I mentioned the S&P 500 has 11 sectors in there, but it also has indexes in there. The Dow Jones 30, is an index, and this index is also part of the S&P 500. Yep, we made a new high, took out the high of last year, made a new high for this year, and again, took out the high of last year, and we made an all-time new high. So the Dow is the best performer of these top three indexes, the Dow index. You could buy the stock ETF of Dow, stock symbol DIA, Delta India Alpha. All-time new high, outstanding. The Dow Transports is also part of the S&P 500. Look at what it did. New low for the year. It's trending down. It's not leadership. Nope. Still inside, still below the high of last year, below that high of 2021. So I would not recommend buying this. No, right now the Dow is the best index. Dow Utilities. Yep. Made a new high for the year. Still below the high of last year. Still below the high of back then. Again, I would recommend not buying the Dow Utilities. Let's label this. Bear with me. Do some house maintenance. There we go. And let's look at Russell 2000. Russell 2000 has 2,000 companies listed in the index. It is not part of the S&P 500. It's smaller companies, meaning less value. But the companies on the Dow Jones 30 are worth hundreds of billions. The companies on here are not worth that much. There's a high from back there, 2021. We're below that. Let's label that. This also has a stock ETF if you want to buy that. IWM. So look below the high of 2021, 2022, below the high of 2023. It's declining. I would not recommend buying that. It's not a winner. So hands down, looking at all these indexes right off the bat, again, we know the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the best all-time new high. And then second is the S&P 500, it's new high for the year. And plus the high, took out the high of last year. Yep. So first, the Dow Jones Industrial stock index stock symbol is Delta India Alpha. And the second is the S&P 500, SPY. Again, all these indexes, but not the Russell 2000, not this one, but all these other four are inside the S&P 500. Now we're going to go look at the 11 sectors inside the S&P 500. That can help you determine dollar cost average. We're looking to see which sectors are performing better than the Dow. Remember the Dow all-time new high. So XLK, again, 5-year chart, each candle week. XLK is very similar to the NASDAQ 100. It's a very growth sector. It's called technology sector. It's new high for the year, but it did not take out the high last year. It's very similar to NASDAQ. XLK. XLV, healthcare. New high for the year. Took out the high of last year, but it has not taken out the high of 2022 yet. So again, the Dow Jones Index is still better than this one. Next, XLF, X-Ray Lima Foxtrot Financials. New high for the year. Took out the high of last year. We have not taken out the high of 2022 yet. Nope. Next one, X-Ray Lima Yankee, consumer discretionary. It's below the high of last year, below the high of the prior 2 years. Yep. Inside candle for the weeks, not leadership. XLC, X-Ray Lima Charlie, communication services, new high for this year, took out the high of last year, still below the high of these prior years, 2022, 2021. XLI, industrials, still below the high of last year and made a new low for this year, not leadership. X-Ray Lima Papa, consumer staples, inside candle for the week, still below the high of last year. Yep. And also below the high of 2022. Nope, it's not an all-time high. Avoid that one. X-Ray Lima Echo, that's the energy sector, below the high of last year, below the high of 2022. New low for the year, loser. X-Ray Lima Uniform Utilities. Yep, same thing, below the high of the 2 prior years and made a new low for the year, loser. X-Ray Lima Romeo Echo Real Estate, below the high of the prior years and inside candle for the week. That's not leadership. No. X-Ray Lima Bravo Materials. Look at that. It's below the high of last year and below the high of 22. Made a new low for the year. Loser. So right off the bat, looking at all these, we still have the stock index, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, stock ETF DIA, that's performing better than all these. And then second would be, again, the S&P 500. So hands down, the Dow Jones is very diversified, many different categories, industries, or these, again, are sector-based. Still be better buying the dollar cost average on the Dow. Let's go into the significant 7 stocks. Cool. Still below the high of last year. An inside candle. Loser. Amazon, below the high of last year and the prior year. Did make a new high for this year. But again, you know the Dow 30 index is performing better than this one. Google, new high for the year, took out the high of last year, and still below the high of 2022. Meta, new high for this year, took out the high of last year, just shy of taking out the high of 2021, but still, it's not an all-time high. Microsoft, all-time new high, outstanding. So the Microsoft is inside the Dow index. It's inside the NASDAQ 100 as well as the S&P 500. So for a single stock, this is what's helping those indexes a lot. Outstanding. NVIDIA, all-time new high. All-time new high. So we have two stocks here, all-time new high. Magnificent 7. Tesla, oof. New low for the year. Loser. Below the high of last year, below the high of 22, below the high of 2021. This is not a winner. Huge dump. Snow. Here's the high of these prior years, below that. Still below the prior last year, but made a new high for this year. Now, there's a thing called cycles in the market. Cycles. You have accumulation, you have markup, distribution, markdown. Distribution here, markdown. This looks like accumulation. Dollar cost average. Netflix, high of 2021, high of 2022, high of last year. And look at what we did. We actually took out the high of last year. Nice. So new high for the year and took out the high of last year. But the best performance we already seen here. All-time new high. Microsoft, NVIDIA. And then again, on the indexes, all-time new high. The Dow. There you go. The best one to me making contributions to. It's in a markup phase. Time will tell if it's going to do a consolidation for accumulation and markup. Thank you as always for spending just a little bit of your time with me. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching.